get you to stand right here, face close, raise your right hand.
Do you swear that the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you? I do.
And if I can get you to step over this way. Up here. Watch your step, stepping up.
You may proceed.
Can you please state your name for the jury?
Sure, I am Dr. Amy Klinger.
And Dr. Klinger, what do you do for a living?
I am the Director of Programs for the Educator School Safety Network.
Can you tell the jury about your education?
Sure, I have a bachelor's degree in education as well as a teaching license. I have a master's degree in curriculum and instruction, an education specialist degree, which is in reference to educational administration, which is another master's, and then I have a doctoral degree in educational administration.
And have you held any academic positions?
Yes, I was the chair as well as the director of the Educational Leadership Program at Ashland University, and I also was a full tenured professor there.
Explain to the jury what it takes to become a professor of education and administration at a university.
Well, you have to have a doctoral degree in the field of educational administration. You have to have experience as a practicing administrator, and then you have to have a particular research area or an area of expertise that you focus on.
Do you have any certifications or license?
I have a permanent teaching license. I have a gifted validation. I have a principal's license. And I also have a superintendent's license.
And the jury's heard about something called boots on the ground experience. I'm sure you're familiar with that term. Can you tell the jury about your boots on the ground experience in a school system?
Sure. Well, I started as a teacher. Then I worked in sort of quasi-administrative roles in central office as a testing coordinator and a gifted coordinator. Then I was a principal at the elementary and secondary levels. And at the university, in a university setting, I was the supervisor for administrative interns who were out in the field. And in my current position, we work directly with schools, providing training, going into the field, being in schools, working with them to assess critical safety concerns.
And so you're still providing boots on the ground work in school systems?
Yep, I'm in schools quite often.
Okay, and that's through your School Safety Network organization, correct? Could you just tell the jury just a little bit more about what that is and how long you've had that? And
Sure.
And
I'm the co-founder of the Educator School Safety Network. We are a national nonprofit. We're a little bit unique in that we come from an educational perspective, not necessarily a security or law enforcement perspective. So we provide direct training and technical assistance and consulting to educators, both administrators as well as teachers and support staff and other school stakeholders. We also do vulnerability assessments where we help schools to determine potential vulnerabilities within the facility, but also within their protocols and procedures. We also do threat assessment training to help schools to develop threat assessment teams and to implement a threat assessment process. We also do research in the field of violent threats and incidents, and then finally we develop content. As a nonprofit, we want to be able to put resources in the hands of teachers, and so we make those available to them through some of our content development.
And have you been an instructor or a trainer for the Department of Homeland Security?
Yes, through the RDPC, I was working with FEMA and DHS to develop coursework and also as an instructor to teach it. So I co-authored the courses and then worked with other FEMA and DHS instructors to deliver them.
Have you published?
I have a book that I co-authored with my partner on school safety, and then I've also published a lot of professional journals as well as academic journals, newsletters, those sorts of things, as well as scholarly articles. And then we've also published our research. Every year we publish a research report for the previous school year.
Do you present on school safety issues? nationally or internationally?
Both. We do regional conferences, but mostly we do national ones, either related to professional organizations or related to specific topics. And then we have presented internationally as well.
Your Honor, at this time, I would like to offer Dr. Amy Klinger as an expert in the field of education, administration, and school safety to testify regarding professional standards in this case.
All right, education, administration, and safety.
In school safety. School
Right.
safety, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No objection.
All right, so qualified.
Dr. Klinger, at my request, have you reviewed documents and information to determine if Dr. Parker failed to exercise any care or breached professional standards related to Ms. Werner on January 6, 2023?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Mr. Coleman, could you please publish to Dr. Klinger only the list of material that you reviewed? Let me know when you have it.
I have it.
Have it? Okay. So Dr. Klinger, didn't expect you to come in here and memorize everything that I've given you,
Good.
but could you just sort of educate the jury? There are different topics on the list, and you can do it by topic, of what have you reviewed to give your opinions to this jury in this case?
I reviewed videos, body cam footage from the Sheriff's Department, as well as school board interviews with people that were involved in the incident. I have reviewed the discovery materials, both from the plaintiff as well as from the defendant, as well as the forensic services, the witness statements and incident reports. I've also reviewed materials related specifically to Newport News schools in terms of their operations plans, their employee handbooks, those sort of things, both for the district as well as for Ridge Neck Elementary. I've also reviewed the depositions, all of the depositions that were taken from the various parties involved. I've reviewed the school records for the student, JT, and then in addition, I've reviewed some additional things in terms of the forensic interviews, some of the circuit court materials for that involve the aspects of the mom.
Okay. In a moment, we're going to get into your opinions. Before we do you agree to express only opinions you hold to a reasonable degree of educational and professional probability?
I do.
And having reviewed the materials, have you formed opinions regarding whether Dr. Parker failed to exercise any care or breached professional standards with respect to Ms. Werner on January 6, 2023?
I have.
Okay, and before we get to those, I just want to make sure the jury understands. Were you retained to help educate the jury about the issues in this case? Is that your understanding?
Yes.
And as an expert in school administration and school safety, have you reviewed cases for lawyers before?
Yes, I have.
And approximately how many cases have you reviewed as an expert witness?
About 25. This isn't my full-time job. I have my work at the Educator School Safety Network, but I've done about 25 cases.
And do you agree to accept cases both for and against school administrators?
Yeah. Actually, the majority of the time I am working on behalf of the plaintiff, not the school.
And this is your first time testifying in front of a jury, isn't it?
It is.
Not your first time presenting, but your first time testifying in
Yes.
front of a jury. Since providing expert services takes away from your work in the school safety arena, do you charge for your time to review cases?
Yes, I do.
And how much do you charge to review records?
$350 an hour.
And how much are you charging to be here today to testify in court?
$500 an hour.
And have you ever met Dr. Parker?
No, I have not.
Now we'll get to your opinions. Dr. Klinger, to a reasonable degree of educational and professional probability, do you have any opinion regarding whether Dr. Parker breached professional standards with respect to Ms. Werner on January 6, 2023?
I do.
And what is that opinion?
She did not.
And Dr. Parker, to a reasonable degree of educational and professional probability, do you have any opinion regarding whether Dr. Parker was indifferent to Ms. Werner on January 6, 2023?
I do.
And what is that opinion?
She was not.
Dr. Klinger, I'd like for you to, if you can help me, educate the jury about the roles and responsibilities of an assistant principal. Could you describe for the jury the roles and responsibilities of an assistant principal in an elementary school?
Sure. It is just that, to assist, working with the principal, but also working with the staff. It is a very collaborative role. It is working in all aspects of school operation, the instructional program, the staff relations, the professional development of staff, the daily operations and management, including safety, as well as the operational community relations side of things, working with parents, working with students, student discipline, special education. Very similar to that of a principal, but in this particular case and in most job descriptions, for an assistant principal, it says assist with. So it is very much an assistance, collaborative sort of role.
Now, is school safety an area that the assistant principal assists with?
Definitely, yes.
Now, is an assistant principal the sole person responsible in a school for school safety?
Oh, absolutely not. No one is the sole person responsible for school safety. School safety is a collaborative endeavor. Every person who is in that organization has roles and responsibilities related to safety. Every single person, every staff member, students, administration, everyone that you would consider a school stakeholder has a very critical role in school safety, as well as responsibilities related to those roles.
And what is the responsibility of a school administrator such as Dr. Parker with respect to assessing a safety concern or potential threat in the school?
Can you say that again?
What is the responsibility of a school administrator such as Dr. Parker with respect to assessing a safety concern or potential threat? What do they do first?
Well, they need to establish the credibility of the threat, and that is not something that can be done alone. That's where the collaboration that I'm talking about. It's really important for an administrator to get feedback and information and disclosures from the people who are closest to the event. A school administrator cannot be everywhere. They cannot see everything. School incidents, school safety concerns do not occur in a vacuum. The world continues to spin. Other things continue to happen. The school day progresses. So it may seem easy to go, well, here's a one thing. We need to do that. But school administration is sort of spinning plates where you have a lot of different things going on and you need to be able to prioritize. And one way to do that is to get input from the staff, to get good information, to assess the plausibility, the specificity of the threat, to look at the circumstances surrounding it, and to get good intelligence, if you will, from boots on the ground.
Okay. And who does the assistant principal look to get the primary information?
You look to the people closest to the event. Person directly involved. And in this case, those people had the potential to be really good resources. You had Ms. Kovac, who was a veteran teacher who had an established relationship with the student, who had worked with that student on a quite frequent basis. You had Ms. Zwerner, who was in the classroom, knew the student. You had Mr. Rawls, who had extensive experience working with troubled students, working with students who may act out in some fashion. And so all of those people are valuable resources that can provide information to assist in evaluating the nature of a potential school safety concern.
And are teachers and people in the immediate area something called first line responders? Is that a term that's used sometimes?
Yes, and they're first line responders. They are the people that can see it, that are experiencing it, that can provide context, a really critical context of what was said, what was the demeanor, how was the person acting, what did other people say, what sort of actions are being taken. And so those first line people provide really important intelligence for an administrator
And does every school
require an appropriate response from an administrator in the sense that it does not necessarily have to be immediate, it does not necessarily have to be aggressive, and sometimes that can be counterproductive. So if you think about the feasibility of every time a person discloses something, that we go to the nth degree and we're going to immediately lock down or we're going to immediately do some dramatic response, you would never have school. You would be clearing classrooms all day long. It would be impossible for a school to function. On the other hand, school administrators have a responsibility to balance those things, to be able to get intelligence and information and make informed decisions about what the most appropriate course of action. Because think of the nature of a school where everyone runs around totally in crisis all the time, because every threat is being treated exactly the same, and we're going to DEFCON 5 on every single threat. That's not safety. That is constant panic. And it also actually can make the school less safe because people become numb to it. You get into a boy who cried wolf situation where people are going, well, it's just another one of those. It's just another one of those. So the appropriate response, a measured, appropriate analysis of the information and the situation is really critical to keep people safe.
And Dr. Klinger, can you tell the jury the factors that an assistant principal must rely on to assess the potential severity of a reported student behavioral issue?
Well, in terms of looking at trying to establish or analyze the potential problem, plausibility is a big one. How plausible is it that this thing could be occurring? And that really factors into the age. I mean, in this particular case, if you're discussing a potential weapon or something of concern at a high school or a middle school level, it is much more plausible that there is the potential there that a weapon could be present. When you're discussing the plausibility of a 6-year-old having access and ability to bring a weapon to school, clearly we know at that point it was unprecedented and certainly not as plausible as you would find. So clearly that's one issue. Specificity is another, of how specific is the threat. What exactly is being said? What exactly is being disclosed? What words, what terms are being used? And then there's the context surrounding it. And again, threat assessment teaches us that we need to have the context of in what manner, under what situation, what were the circumstances. All of that kind of information is really critical. And an administrator cannot get that because they're not a mind reader. They are not clairvoyant. They cannot be everywhere. The way to get that is to get that information from the people that are seeing it, experiencing it, talking about it, and getting those reports and being able to aggregate that information. And all of those things have to be taken into account in order to be able to have an appropriate response.
And you talked about the assistant principal assisting with a lot. Is the assistant principal in this role triaging information?
Yeah, it's very important to be able to, because again, as I said, this doesn't occur in a vacuum. So because an administrator cannot do everything, they have to rely on the capacities and the skills and the professional judgment and the input and the context from other staff members and other people with which they work. So it's really trying to aggregate those things together, because you cannot make a decision totally and completely by yourself.
In your review of the material, you've told the jury what you've reviewed. Were there any actions taken by Ms. Kovac indicating that there was not a significant level of concern on January?
Ask your question again.
In reviewing the material, were there any actions taken by Ms. Kovac indicating that there was not a significant level of concern?
Was present. Was told by some students that there was a concern about JT.
Don't say what, anything Ms. Kovac was told, but, or just
Oh, I'm
what your
sorry.
understanding of what action she took based on what she.
Based on the review of the materials, sorry.
So yeah, you can't tell us what other people said, just that you
Right.
relied on that information.
So based on the review of the materials, information was given that there was a concern. Ms. Kovac did not go to Dr. Parker. She did not call a lockdown. She did not call security. She instead went to investigate and spoke with the student or interacted with the student. When the student did not reveal the book bag, did not allow for the book bag to be looked at, Ms. Kovac did not call a lockdown. She did not remove the book bag. She did not remove the student. She did not remove the other students. She stayed in the classroom and after a lesson left the classroom then to report to Dr. Parker that the book bag had not been, at that point, had not been looked at. She went call a lockdown. She didn't call security. She didn't call Mr. Rawls.
We're just reciting the experiences of Ms. Kovac. Hearsay.
Well, she's stating from her review of the records, and that's what we're allowing her to testify to, so I'm going to overrule that. You may continue.
After it was disclosed to Ms. Kovac that the item had potential access, could be perceived as suspicious, she did not remove the student. She didn't move the other students. She did not respond in a way that would indicate there was an urgent or imminent problem at that point, and then returned to her work in testing.
Did, in any of the material that you reviewed, did you see any information that would that indicated Ms. Kovac thought it was a toy gun?
Objection, Your Honor.
Ask the question again.
In reviewing the material, did you see any indication, and you've read the statements and whatnot, that there was a thought that it was just a toy gun with a 6-year-old?
Your Honor, I'll proffer, and I think counsel would proffer, the only basis would be a statement which you ruled was inadmissible. Backdoor.
All right, I'm going to sustain that objection based on a previous ruling.
Do you want to tell the jury anything else about what you observed or from the records about Ms. Kovac's actions that day? I didn't want to cut you
And she was the person that had that relationship with JT. Yeah.
And in reviewing the material, were there any actions taken by Ms. Werner indicating there was not a significant level of concern?
Based on my review of the materials, never spoke with Dr. Parker again. There are numerous disclosures or information in the materials that indicates she was given information from students about a concern that she...
Your Honor, this is exactly what you ruled upon.
Do you have a response?
We can move on from that. Just
Fine.
talk about the actions of Ms. Werner with respect to what you understand from the material with respect to what was going on in the classroom and whatnot, and
Right.
going to play to
It
the.
has to be stricken if it's sustained.
All right, I'm sorry, was that her moving on, or?
The statements
last
before,
statement.
The last statements that were objected to, if it's
All right.
sustained.
Yeah, they're stricken from the record, just like we talked about. If I strike something, you can't consider it. All right, go ahead and ask your next question.
From Ms. Kovac about what other students were saying.
Well, instruction went on. The student remained in the classroom. Even though previously the materials indicate that security had been called in the past, that Mr. Rawls had been asked to Dr. Parker, the school day went on. The student went to recess. The first grade teachers, one of whom was Ms. Werner, observed the student, reported suspicious behavior to each other or texting it to Ms. Kovac, did not report that to Dr. Parker, did not clear the playground, did not remove the student, did not take the book bag, did not remove the other students. And so there's a lot of different opportunities for, and a lot of resources available for assistance that we know were employed in the past.
And did you see any actions taken by Ms. West indicating that she did not feel that it was a significant level of concern?
Objection, Your Honor, as to what she felt.
Sustain that.
Or indicated that there was not a significant level of concern? Same question I'd asked before.
Same objection before. I think the Freudian slip indicates what is being intended for.
Well, obviously, I'll disregard the previous recitation of that question and allow the second one.
I'm asking it the same way I did before with Ms. Werner, indicating that, did you see in the material any actions taken by Ms. West indicating there was not a significant level of concern?
Ms. West took a student, a different student who had a disciplinary behavioral issue, to Dr. Parker during recess and did not make any discussion of what was observed at recess, the suspicious behavior, those different behaviors that were being observed at that point. She asked Ms. Werner to watch her class and bring them in, so that doubled the size of the number of students that Ms. Werner was supposed to be supervising, which would indicate she felt that was appropriate to do, to ask her to do that.
Objection, Your Honor. Same thing.
All right. Overruled. Continue.
Anything else
No.
with Ms. West? Did you, in your material that you reviewed, you read the deposition testimony, see anything to indicate
concerns to Dr. Parker and was involved in a face-to-face discussion with her, but that discussion did not include any disclosures about the behaviors of JT at recess.
And is that something you would have expected if there was a significant level of concern, that there had been a discussion at that time?
Yeah, I think it's important that this was an evolving situation, and one critical element is to get updates on what's happening, what's going on, what has changed, if anything, and those updates were not occurring.
And same with Mr. Rawls. So you've read all the deposition testimony and the statements of Mr. Rawls and whatnot, and is there anything, any actions taken?
Recess, he received information.
Did not feel.
Sorry.
You could just say what he did not do. And
He did not remove the student. He did not clear the classroom. He did not call security, call for assistance, call a lockdown. All of those things are capabilities and resources that were present to any of these individuals.
And in the material review, did you see that at some point there was a discussion between Dr. Parker and Mr. Rawls about body searching the student? And do you have, what is your understanding about decisions made in that regard,
Generally, or in this specific?
in this specific case?
There
Without
wasn't.
saying what someone said.
There was a discussion about an option for a search of the student, and the approach was cautious, as it would be appropriate to do so. And there was a determination made that when the parent was present, that search could continue.
Okay. And why would it be, in your experience, that a search of a student is something that could be cautious if you're looking for a weapon?
Well, we should always be concerned about the search of a student, regardless of their age. But certainly, and that is not something that any school administrator should enter into lightly. But I think it's really important to think about, this is a 6-year-old, this is a little kid, and we are going to do, just at will start doing body searches on kids. That's not any kind of endeavor that anyone should do, especially when they don't have a good amount of intelligence or information that would support that at that point.
Dr. Klinger, do you have any opinion on whether Dr. Parker could have foreseen JT's actions that day based on the information that she had?
I think it would be difficult for anyone to have foreseen that. I think the actions of everyone involved indicate that they were doing an analysis, but yet that they did not perceive this to be a plausible, imminent threat, both the behaviors as well as the actions, because it is a 6-year-old having access to a weapon and bringing it to school, and it is largely unthinkable and certainly unprecedented in terms of the outcome.
And Dr. Klinger, did you review any protocols of the Newport News school system in your review of the materials?
The crisis plan for Newport News, yes.
And did your review of any protocol change your opinions in the case in any way about assessing the threat or the school safety concern?
No, the protocols of a crisis plan provide a framework. They provide guidelines for what people should be doing. But they also have to, and in this particular case, they give people latitude for professional judgment. When a crisis plan becomes so prescriptive that you must do this, you must do this, you must do this, it really makes it actually more ineffective. So it is critical that people have the ability to use the tools that we've talked about and that use the judgment that we've talked about and incorporate or factor in the circumstances that we've talked about when they're making that decision.
And Dr. Klinger, are all of your opinions and conclusions you've provided to the jury today held within a reasonable degree of educational and professional probability?
Yes.
Please answer any questions Mr. Beniozen has.
Cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor.
No, object. It's another roadmap. I object.
You can have roadmaps for your witnesses, but not for theirs.
All right. Good afternoon.
Hi.
We're going to talk about 3 things, okay? We're going to talk about getting good information. We're going to talk about the threat. And then we're going to talk about over-under, okay? You understand what that term over-under means?
Mm-hmm.
And in your report, you talk about overreactions and underreactions. Is that correct?
Yes.
And it's also a term used in the gambling world, over-under.
Can't speak to that, but yes.
All right, so let's take it one by one. Let's start with getting good information. You talked about in direct how teachers are first line responders, true?
Teachers and support staff,
First line,
yes.
which means that there's a second line.
Mm-hmm,
Is that right?
yes.
Second line being the assistant principal, true?
Well, it depends on the hierarchy of the school. I mean, some schools don't have assistant principals, but if you want to say administration globally, yes.
And in this case, Rich Neck did have an assistant principal, true? And that assistant principal was Dr. Ebony Parker.
Correct.
And you mentioned before about getting good information and how first line responders are closest to the information. Is that correct?
Yes.
And on this day, it sounds like you're critiquing the information that was passed along to Dr. Parker. Am I interpreting your testimony correctly, that you're critiquing what people shared with Dr. Parker?
Well, I think the nature of what is shared is relevant and important to it. I mean, we have to understand this is a tragic, horrific event for every single person involved. So critique may not be the word, but I think clearly we have to evaluate the nature of the information that was given to her.
Right. And getting good information is a two-way street. Fair?
Mm-hmm.
Is that yes?
Yes, I'm sorry.
We have a pool.
Yeah, I know. I should know better. Sorry.
In other words, you don't think an assistant principal should just sit in their armchair, wait for people to tell them information, and then just decide what to do based on what they tell them, right?
I don't know that that's what happened in this case because there were other instances going on. There were when Ms. West brought her student and then sometime in the afternoon cried out for help, and Dr. Parker came because two students were fighting in the hallway. So I wouldn't say that she never got out of her chair because clearly she provided assistance when it was asked for.
Okay, so let's take it step by step.
Okay.
You agree that an assistant principal can't just sit in their chair and wait for information to come to them, true?
I think that an assistant principal can have a reasonable expectation that if there's something she needs to know, people will tell her.
Okay. And so she should just assume everything's okay unless somebody comes and tells her more.
Well, your option then is that you have to go door to door and ask everybody, hey, is everything okay here? Is there anything I should know? Is there anything? And that's not really feasible for the management of the school.
Really, really happy you said that, actually. Really, really happy you said that. So let's talk about going door to door. In this context, Ms. Kovac told Dr. Parker explicitly about a gun and a specific student, true?
At what point?
Around noon.
Prior to going to lunch?
Correct, around noon.
There was a discussion of a weapon.
It wasn't a gun in his book bag.
That's not what you asked me. You asked me what she told.
Right, that's at noon, around noon. Did Ms. Kovac go into Dr. Ebony Parker's office and report that students were saying that JT had a gun in his book bag?
My understanding in the review of the materials is that she said that the students reported he had a weapon.
And your review of the materials, I hope, included the written statement of Dr. Parker?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that. It's been pre-marked as Plaintiff's Exhibit 2, Your Honor. You were provided this written statement written by Dr. Ebony Parker.
Yes.
It has her name on the bottom there. Do you see that?
Correct.
Permission to publish, Your Honor.
Any objection?
Just 1 second.
All right, no objection. I'm sorry, you said no objection, correct?
No objection.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor, I'm just double checking that there aren't any references to the child's full name.
It does have the child's name in it, so
What's that?
it has the child's name and it has.
All right, so we'll block that.
Permission to publish, Your Honor.
Without objection.
Thank you. So, in the materials that you were provided, Dr. Klinger, this is the sentence I was reading to you. That around noon, Ms. Kovac came into my office and reported that the students were saying the student, JT, had a gun in his book bag. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
And so, when you said earlier, you can't go around every classroom, knocking on every door, searching every bag. You recall that testimony?
Well, I was speaking in terms, your question was about finding out if everything was okay. It wasn't about searching bags.
Okay. Well, in this case, there was a specific child reported to have had a gun in his book bag. True?
Yes.
And because communication is a two-way street and getting in good information is a two-way street, you would expect the assistant principal to attempt to get some information herself. True?
Well, according to that statement and the materials that I read, there was a discussion between Ms. Kovac, who was a seasoned educator with a relationship with the student, third in line in the chain of command. There was a discussion between her and Dr. Parker, and Ms. Kovac indicated she was going to go and look in the book bag.
And based upon the information that you received, that she checked the book bag, there was nothing in the book bag, but that there was a report that there was something put in his pocket. True?
That was a report made later, yes.
And you're familiar that in response, Dr. Parker observed that the child's pockets were too little. True?
That's in the materials that's alleged.
And so when we're talking about getting good information, to make sure that we're on the same page regarding good information, when we talk about Miss West and Miss West bringing a child to Dr. Parker, do you recall your previous testimony about that?
She brought him to the office, yes.
In fact, according to Dr. Parker left her office and went and retrieved the child. True?
Which child are we speaking of?
The one that was eloping.
Yes.
So Dr. Parker at some point in time did decide, I'm going to leave my chair and I'm going to go deal with a student.
Yes. I believe she also left her chair when the students had the altercation in the hallway, and also to talk with Miss West about the student she brought in from the playground.
And during those times in which Dr. Parker left her chair, did she go and inquire with the student JT?
Specifically to the student,
Yes.
JT, or about the student?
To the student JT.
No.
And you mentioned about how when law enforcement gets phone calls on dispatch, they always want to get information straight from the source. Do you recall that?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a yes?
Yes.
And when we talk about getting information straight from the source, in this context, there were two girls who reported to Ms. Kovac who reported to Dr. Parker. True?
Yes.
And at what point in the day did Dr. Parker leave her desk to go talk to girl number one?
Well, in her testimony, Ms. Kovac indicates she didn't know who they were.
Not my question. At what point in the day did Dr. Parker leave her desk to go talk to girl number one?
How could she if she doesn't know who girl number one is? Because Ms. Kovac doesn't know who girl number one is because she didn't ask her name and didn't get the information, which makes it difficult to investigate
So
if you don't know who the student is.
So Dr. Parker's obligation there stops because she doesn't get good information, so she can sit back and just rely upon the fact that she didn't get good information.
That's not what I said. I said it would be difficult to interview a student that you don't know who that student is.
You mentioned earlier that there are, 40 first grade students? And 20 in Ms. Warner's class?
I
20
never said how many
Objection,
students
Your
there
Honor.
were.
That's not- She didn't testify.
Earlier you had
Okay, wait, hold on, I'm gonna sustain that objection, rephrase.
Earlier, you had talked about how at some point in time, one of the teachers was looking after two classroom sets of students, true?
Correct. I said Ms. Werner had double the students. I didn't say the number.
Okay. And so, just so we're on the same page, Dr. Parker never went and attempted to talk to a girl or two girls, true?
The ones that disclosed to Ms. Kovac you're speaking of?
Yes.
She did not because she didn't know their identity.
You say because she didn't know her identity. You've never spoken to Dr. Parker, have you?
No, I have not.
Okay, so when you're trying to say what Dr. Parker knew or didn't know, it's conjecture. You don't. She's never told you she didn't know the identity.
Well, the materials say that Ms. Kovac did not.
But
So I don't know how Dr. Parker would be able to know who Ms. Kovac spoke with if she didn't see her speaking with the two students and Mrs. Kovac didn't know the name of the two students. I don't know how Dr. Parker would know that, but you're right, I don't know that.
Okay, so you do not know whether Dr. Parker knew or did not know.
I do know that Ms. Kovac did not know the names of those students, and she didn't inquire or bring them to Dr. Parker so that Dr. Parker could speak to them.
Dr. Klinger, I know this is your first time in the courtroom. Just asking that you answer my questions. I'll be happy to let you expand, but I just want to make sure that we're not talking past each other.
Most certainly.
So, you do not know, because Dr. Parker never communicated to you, whether she knew or didn't know who those two girls were.
That is correct.
And when we go further and talk about getting good information, at some point in time when it's reported to Dr. Parker that there's a belief that there's something in his pocket, we talked about that a moment ago, correct?
Correct.
At that point in time, you'd agree that there's still at least a possibility that there's a firearm on campus, true?
Yes.
And at that point in time, to address the possibility of a firearm, did Dr. Parker request any specific information from anybody to be conveyed to her?
Specific information from anyone?
Correct. Did she say, will you go and search the person? Or will you go and talk to JT? Or why don't I go and talk to JT? Did she request any specific information in order to make the decision of what to do about a possible firearm on campus?
In the review of the materials, it would appear that that was a discussion that was had with Ms. Kovac and also with Mr. Rawls.
But that was, so let's get our timeline right. Ms. Kovac looks at the book bag, no gun in the book bag. They go and talk. That's when the comment is about little pockets, right?
Yes.
And that's about 12:20 in the afternoon, true?
I don't have a timestamp on that, so I can't speak to that.
And then Mr. Rawls comes and talks to her at 1:40 in the afternoon. Isn't that correct?
Again, that's my understanding, but some of the times seem to be a little contradictory in my review of the materials. Some of the times, depending on the statements, were a little bit off, so I don't want to say 1:40 with certainty.
Let's say it was 1:40.
It was after recess.
Let's say it was 1:40. That would mean that for about an hour, Dr. Parker was aware that there was the possibility of a firearm on campus at Rich Neck Elementary. True?
That there was the possibility that JT had what students were characterizing as a weapon and a gun.
Is that different than what I had asked you?
Yes, you said a firearm. Typically, students would not disclose a firearm. They would say a gun, meaning a squirt gun, a gun, meaning a Nerf gun, a gun, meaning bullets. Again, in my experience, students, I'm sure there are some, but very young elementary students don't typically use technical terms like firearms and things like that.
But we just looked at the report from Miss Parker herself, Dr. Parker, Exhibit 2, and it used the word gun.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm not disputing that.
And it didn't say toy gun. True?
The students
This-
said gun, yes.
And this report from Dr. Parker used the word gun, not toy gun. True?
That's what said, the report says yes.
Okay. And so, let's talk about the threat at that point. You mentioned earlier about this isn't something that would be foreseeable. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd like to, just for demonstrative purposes, it's just a scale.
Object, Your Honor.
I can't see what that is. Okay, I'm not exactly clear where you're going with that.
Object, Your Honor. It's another diagram drawn by Mr. Beniozen during trial.
I don't know where he's going yet. Continuing objection until we see where it's going.
You mentioned not foreseeable, correct?
Yes.
All right. As of, don't publish this yet, please. At that point in time, we're talking well, let's actually start before. January 6th in the morning, before JT comes to school. What, in your expert opinion on the issue of foreseeability, what was the foreseeability of a gun on campus at Rich Neck Elementary School, an elementary school, on a scale of 0 to 10?
Incorporating all students, K through 5?
Yes.
So every student there.
What was the foreseeability of a gun on campus? 0 to 10.
Inclusive of the entire population of the school.
Yes.
Probably a 1.
So it's not like it's off the radar, true?
Correct. Now,
And
if you want, well, I can't tell you what to ask me, but that's why I ask about the number of students. The younger they go, the younger they are, the lower that number would be.
Okay, but when we talk about a firearm on campus, we're talking about a risk, a threat, true?
Yes.
And that's because a firearm on campus at an elementary school isn't just a risk of an active shooter, you'd agree with that, right?
Yes.
There's a risk of an accidental shooting, correct?
Yes.
And so any firearm on campus is a threat, true?
Yes.
And so on a scale of 1 to 10 before January 6th, it's a 1, true?
Before January 6th?
Yeah.
I thought you said that
On the
morning
the
of.
morning of.
I thought,
That's what I mean.
okay. Yes.
I'm
And-
gonna overrule the objection. You're using this for demonstrative purposes only?
Yes, Judge.
All right, you may proceed.
Go ahead and publish read. And you tell me if I'm misstating, okay? Say foreseeability of gun on campus. Is that right?
In a K-5 environment, correct? You're asking me? Yeah,
Is that correct?
that's correct.
And we agreed that this equals a threat, at least some threat.
The foreseeability equals a threat?
A gun on campus.
The gun equals a threat, yes.
Okay, and so we're at a 1. True.
Based on what you described to me, yes.
So we'll call it 9 a.m. 1/6/23. So you're familiar with the Rich Neck Handbook, correct?
Yes.
And you're familiar that the Rich Neck Handbook actually contemplates a level 3 incident involving the possession of a firearm, true?
Yes.
How does that change your determination of foreseeability? Does that make it more foreseeable because they've thought about it in the manual that it could happen, or does it make it less foreseeable?
I'm sorry, I don't mean to be, I'm not sure that I understand what you're asking me.
Sure. In the context of Rich Neck Elementary specifically, there is a handbook that calls a Tier 3 threat assessment, and that is if there's a possession of a weapon. Do you recall that?
Yes, I believe that's for the whole district, though, not just specifically for Rich Neck. Is that correct? Your understanding as well?
And Your Honor, if he's gonna question her, he can show it to her.
Happy to show it to her.
Show it, publish it to her. I'm not sure it's in evidence, but.
You can show her, yeah,
Okay.
just don't publish it. 'cause I don't
This
think-
is already in evidence as
Okay, if
exhibit
it are, if it is the
108.
one that is,
So this is permission to publish?
yeah, if you can just read the exhibit number on there.
This is exhibit 108.
All right.
You see the Rich Neck Elementary School Staff Handbook,
Yes, I do.
and section 3, we talk about level behaviors. Get into it. There's a specific discussion of a possession of a weapon. Do you see that?
Yeah, can you slide that down so that I can't see all of what the title, there you go, thank you. see it now.
Possession of a firearm, or a weapon, excuse me.
Yes, those being behaviors that need to be immediately reported to an administrator.
Understood. And in this context, in light of Rich Neck Elementary's specific understanding that that is a student behavior, how does that increase or decrease your foreseeability analysis? Does it make it more or less likely, in your view, that there's a gun on campus if they've already talked about the possibility of a gun on campus?
No, I would
Okay.
say that most likely that's part of a larger comprehensive plan that was supposed to be appropriate for all levels, including secondary levels. And also, this is a K-5 building, it's not a pre-K, so you have older students in the building as well.
Understood. So then let's talk about 1 through 10. When Kovac tells Parker, gun. It was a 1 at 9 o'clock in the morning. What is it at the time that Kovac tells Parker there's a gun?
Well, it's higher than a 1 because you have that word that's being used, but there also is the plausibility factor, the factor of what the student said. Unfortunately, there were no statements taken specifically from the students.
Dr. Parker didn't take any statements.
Right, so we don't know who the students are. We
Right.
don't know. So we only have what Ms. Kovac relates. So she relates, or Dr. Parker relates, that they use the word gun.
So 1 out of 10, higher than a 1. What is it?
Yes. At this point, I would say, given the fact that Ms. Zwerner had just been there and indicated that JT was being defiant, but did not indicate that he was acting strange around his book bag, or that he was showing things to kids, or that kids were frightened, or any of those things, it's probably a 2 or a 3 at this point.
Okay. Then we have a moment in time, as we talked about, where Kovac says, no gun in backpack, put something in pocket. Is that right? Is that true?
We have a moment where Ms. Kovac has looked in the backpack and there is no gun, and Ms. Zwerner has texted Ms. Kovac and told her that he put something in his pocket. Dr. Parker did not know that until Ms. Kovac told her.
Right. So that's the moment I'm talking about. The moment where Kovac says, no gun in the backpack, but there's a report that he put something in his pocket. This little pockets moment. You understand where I am in the timeline?
Yes, I do.
Scale of 1 to 10. What's the foreseeability?
I think we're still basically in the 2 to 3. And actually thinking of the size of an actual firearm.
You're still at a 2 to 3.
Yeah.
All right.
And may I qualify what you're, or clarify what you're saying? You're saying based purely on this information, not all the other information that was observed by other people that was not disclosed to Dr. Parker, is that correct?
Well, ultimately, we're asking, and the question in this case, as you understand it, is Dr. Parker's actions, correct?
Right, but you're asking me to give you this numerical judgment based on purely the information you're writing on the paper, correct?
Well, yes. If
Okay.
there's something more that you think should be considered, you're happy to tell. I welcome it.
Mm-hmm.
When you said earlier it's unprecedented, it's not foreseeable, I'm trying to get an understanding of how these different pieces of information may affect that.
Sure.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're at a 2 to 3 still after the conversation about something in the pocket. Then the next discussion, as I recall it, and you tell me if I'm wrong, the next discussion is when there is a question from Mr. Sims to Dr. Parker about, did we search the person? Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so we talked about context clues, essentially. You know, we have to read into the conduct of staff members to get an indication of how credible a threat is. Do you recall that testimony in your direct?
No, that's not what I said. I said context, not context clues.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm just saying it's not the same thing.
Okay, so we'll talk about context. At this point in time, when Mr. Sims comes to Dr. Parker, there's still a possibility of a gun on campus, true?
The possibility, yes.
A 2 to 3 possibility.
Yes.
And Mr. Sims is now saying, have you searched the person, true?
To Dr. Parker?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And so at that point in time, when Mr. Sims is asking, did you search JT, how does that affect the foreseeability? I mean, it's a teacher saying, hey, we need to check the kid.
Well, I believe Mr. Sims was relating information. I think he was covering the office at the time. So I believe he was more of an intermediary than a person urgently raising a concern, but that may be up for interpretation. But he does, you're asking me, did he speak to Dr. Parker about that? Did he ask that? Or what? Maybe you can ask me again with that caveat.
Sure. When Mr. Sims goes to Dr. Parker and says, did you search the person, in light of the fact that there is still a possibility of a gun on campus, what is the foreseeability at that point in time in your expert opinion? 2 to 3, more than 2 to 3, less than 2 to 3?
Well, it's easy now to go, boy, we should, but in that context, with the fact it's a 6-year-old, with the fact that Dr. Parker is not privy to all of the subtleties and the context that you alluded to, and given the fact that now we are looking for something, one student R indicates bullets, and so we now haven't really elevated that a great deal.
So 2 to 3?
Yeah. I mean, if we wanted to do a parallel exercise where we were talking about a high school student or a middle school student, clearly we would be talking different things, but I'm answering your questions specifically for an elementary, kindergarten, 6-year-old.
I know you're saying that, and that's this idea that a high school student may more intentionally fire a gun. Is that fair?
I'm saying a high school student most likely would have greater access to a gun, would have capabilities to use it, would have the capability or the forethought to bring it for threatening purposes, which might speak to your concern about safety. I mean, if we want to just go statistically, how many 6-year-olds have you seen walking around with a gun versus how many 17-year-olds have you heard having a firearm?
If you want to talk statistically, we can talk about the CDC's investigation into accidental shootings in elementary school students in 2023. Did you review that finding of the CDC?
For this case? No.
Okay. You are aware, because you work with the Department of Homeland Security, that the CDC did perform an investigation into the prevalence of accidental shootings in minors, specifically children of the age of JT, correct? You're aware of that as an expert, aren't you?
Aware of that study or aware of it in this context? I did not review it for this case, and this was not... You were asking me questions not about an accidental shooting. You were asking me about foreseeability.
Foreseeability of a threat on campus.
Yes.
If there is a gun, true?
Yes.
And whenever there's a gun, especially at an elementary school, an accidental shooting is a threat, true?
Yes.
And so, at the time that Mr. Sims goes and talks to Dr. Parker and is continuing to ask about a search of the person, it's still, in your view, it's a 2 to 3 foreseeability of a threat at that time.
For a 6-year-old,
Just asking you about a gun on campus. 2 to 3, more, less.
well, I think you're asking me to make a unilateral statement, and I'm trying to provide the context that you referred to. And the context being the foreseeability of a 6-year-old having a firearm.
So it's okay to just disbelieve it because
That's not
What are
what I
the
said.
odds?
You're asking me about foreseeability. You didn't ask me about response. You didn't ask me about attitude. You asked me about foreseeability.
we'll get there.
So foreseeability of a 6-year-old is in the low end of your scale.
Okay. So we're at a 2 to 3.
Yes.
After Mr. Sims leaves Dr. Parker's office, there is then another conversation with Mr. Rawls, correct?
Yes.
And this is the conversation I think that you, and Mr. Rawls during that requests, oh, that's really bad. Requests to search, true?
Who are you referring that Mr. Rawls is talking to? You're done with Mr. Sims, right? You're talking with Dr. Parker, correct?
Correct.
I just want to be clear so I can answer it correctly.
So Mr. Rawls requests to Dr. Parker to search the student, true?
There is a discussion about searching.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's now the second discussion about searching the student. Mr. Sims, then Mr. Rawls, true?
The first one was a informational, has he been searched? This one was a discussion about searching.
And, okay. And so, at this point in time, foreseeability, 2 out of 3, more, less?
Well, I think you're equating the discussion of searching with somehow urgency or more likelihood. So I don't see that there is again, significantly higher likelihood. It is still quite implausible, even though we know it happened. It is still not a lot of specific information. It's still all the things that we talked about. So yeah, we're still in the lower end. I think Dr. Parker and Mr. Rawls' discussion centered on the plausibility, but also on the caution through which an administrator should undertake a body search of a 6-year-old. And so there wasn't a refusal to search. There was the decision that it needed to be done with parent, not necessarily permission, but parent involvement.
So 2 to 3, or is it more?
I don't think it goes up a lot more, no. And
Does
especially
it-
considering that Mr. Rawls has experience with
Does it go up at all?
troubled students.
Objection, Your Honor, he's cutting her off.
I mean, I just asked more than 2 to 3.
All right, so we can answer his question.
Is it more than 2 to 3? You said not much more. How
No.
much more?
3, there.
3, all right? We moved a little. And you're talking about this communication process with the assistant principal, Dr. Parker, and the staff members, correct?
Yes,
And in your book titled "Keep Students Safe Every Day," that's the title, correct?
no, it's keeping students safe every day.
Sorry, I missed the ing. You'd agree that a crisis event occurs in a school, there needs to be effective communication, correct?
That is correct.
And that the assistant principal is the leader in that regard, correct?
I don't say that in the book. The assistant principal is the leader in that regard?
Do you,
I don't remember writing that.
all right, is the assistant principal a school leader, to be clear, specific and timely with communication.
An assistant principal is one of the school leaders, and in the crisis plan is one of 3 school leaders.
And in this context, at 1:40 in the afternoon, if you accept my representation, that that's when this conversation occurred, it was a 3, that there is still a 3 likelihood that there is a gun on campus. True?
Based on what you have asked me to assign to it, yes.
Okay. All right. And when we say a 3 likelihood, and you talked earlier about, I think you said you have to assess whether to search the person, the boy, or not, given his age and other surrounding circumstances. Do you recall that?
I don't know that I said assess, but I might have.
So, I told you earlier the last thing we talked about was over under. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
And when we say over, we're talking about what's an overreaction to a gun on campus? What's an underreaction to a gun on campus? True?
Right. When I spoke about it in an overreaction, underreaction to a crisis event. But yes, we could specifically talk about to a gun on campus.
Well, that's what we're talking about in this case, aren't we?
I just want to be clear that when I spoke about it, I speak about it in general.
So what is an overreaction to a gun on campus at an elementary school? What's an overreaction?
Well, I think that when you want an example of it, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, you're saying you have to weigh the balancing test. What possibly could be an overreaction to a gun on campus?
So you want me to take it to the biggest overreaction I can think of?
Sure.
That would be when a student indicates that another child has something.
Yeah, but we're
Weapon.
talking about overreaction, underreaction in terms of responses, correct?
Are you asking me when it is already proven that there is a weapon on campus, or when there is a suspicion of a gun or a weapon on campus?
Which one applies here?
Which one applies to your questioning?
Which one applies to this case? A suspicion or proven? In your view,
There was a suspicion that the student had a weapon of some sort.
of a gun.
Students used the word gun, yes.
She used the word gun.
In her statement, yes.
So there's a suspicion of a gun. So let's use that circumstance.
Yeah.
There's a suspicion of a gun on campus. The assistant principal recognizes there's a suspicion of a gun, and for 2 hours, the foreseeability that the gun remains on campus is not 0. It's something more than 0. That's what we've just gone through. True?
Yes.
What's an overreaction in that context?
In a elementary school where there is the suspicion that a 6-year-old has something,
We're not talking about something. We're talking about a gun.
that a 6-year-old has a weapon that students
talking
have
about a gun.
categorized as a gun.
We're talking about a gun, man.
Do you want me?
What is an overreaction to a gun?
The an example of an overreaction is that when a student says, student X has a gun, that we call a lockdown, we have an active shooter response, we search the kid, we put him down, we put him in cuffs, we drag him off until we can figure out that he had a Nerf gun or a squirt gun or a firearm.
So you agree that Mrs. Zwerner wasn't expected to just drag the kid out of class, call a lockdown, and do all this stuff? That would be an overreaction.
An underreaction
Hey,
would be
stay
to
with my
leave him
question.
in the student,
Stay
in
with my
the class.
Stay with my question. You agree with that statement that I made, correct?
No, I do not. An overreaction, it would be an overreaction to tackle the student, get the police, yes, all based on somebody said he has a weapon or what small children call a gun.
So let's talk about underreactions. Underreaction is an assistant principal not calling 911. True?
Well, can I finish answering your previous question?
You didn't answer my previous question. You went on to your own question.
Well, no, I was trying to answer the question of, you asked me about an overreaction, and then you brought up Ms. Zwerner as an overreaction, that she didn't drag him out.
Correct.
Did you? That's what I understood you to say.
And you agreed that you wouldn't expect her to do that.
But a student can be removed from a classroom without being dragged, kicking and screaming.
Right.
A student can be isolated, a book bag can be moved without it becoming an altercation or an aggressive or violent incident.
All things
That would be a more appropriate reaction. So I just wanted to clarify the overreaction that you asked about.
all things that Dr. Parker did not do. True.
All things that Ms. Zwerner did not do either, or Ms. Kovac didn't do either, or Mr. Rawls didn't do either, because in their judgment it was not an appropriate measure at that point.
Let's answer my question.
Okay.
All things that Dr. Parker did not do. True?
All things as in remove him from the room?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you've heard this statement, I presume, in life about sounding the alarm. You understand what that means?
Yes.
Okay. And so in this instance, there was a request, there was information that was conveyed all day that we talked about in terms of foreseeability to Dr. Parker. True?
There was limited information that was conveyed to Dr. Parker, but not all the information that was available. The materials suggest there was additional information she wasn't privy to.
Information was conveyed.
Some information, yes.
Sufficient for Dr. Parker to understand that there was a gun on campus. True? That there was
Sufficient?
Sufficient for her to suspect there was a gun at Rich Neck Elementary School. We talked about suspicion.
Sufficient for her to understand that there was a concern about the potential of a gun on campus.
The information, start this way, some information was conveyed by Ms. Kovac to Dr. Parker, true?
Yes.
And again from Ms. Kovac to Dr. Parker, correct?
Yes.
And then from Mr. Sims, at least a question to Dr. Parker, correct?
Yes.
And then from Mr. Rawls to Dr. Parker, correct?
Correct.
So the individual who was in the position that was aggregating the information in this circumstance was Dr. Parker. You agree?
Aggregating as in receiving that information?
Yes.
Yes.
How much more do you have, Mr. Benioff?
I think nothing, just looking at this now. That's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. How much redirect do you have?
It can take a bit of time.
Okay. All right, then we will go ahead and take our lunch break now. And we are only going to take 45 minutes because it's been time consuming this morning. And so we're going to take 45 minutes, which puts us at about, let's see, 1:10, I'm sorry, 2:10 at this point.
9 jurors in the box.
Be seated.
I'm going to show you Exhibit 108. Mr. Benioff showed it to you in his cross-examination, the Rich Neck Elementary School Handbook. It's Exhibit 108 at page 2.
Okay.
And give you a minute to look at it.
Okay.
Take your time.
Is it possible to make it just a tiny bit bigger? Thank Thank you. Can you scroll? There you go. Thank you.
We'll start on the page 1087. Your Honor, I think we can publish it to the jury since they've already seen it. Okay, just making sure. Dr. Klinger.
have it up on our screens yet.
Oh, I'm
It's
sorry.
on that screen.
Dr. Klinger, you see the paragraph beginning with discipline is the initial responsibility?
Yes.
And is that, I don't know that you had reviewed this document before today. Reviewing it now, do you see that it says that discipline is the initial responsibility of the teacher?
Yes, I do.
And as a teacher, the first line responder, which you explained to the jury
Correct.
before? We'll go to the second page. I think Mr. Beniazin asked you some questions about level 3 behaviors. You recall those
Yes.
questions?
Mhm.
And on the left-hand side, there's a list of student behaviors, one of which is possession of a firearm. And
Yes.
based on your review of the material, just to be clear, did you see any evidence that there was a confirmed possession of a firearm before the event that happened in the
Objection,
afternoon?
Your Honor.
What's the objection?
Your Honor, she's saying based on your review of the information, did you determine that there was a confirmed determination of a firearm? How is that helpful to the jury, the trier of fact? The question is whether or not Dr. Parker reached a standard of care. That's what she was proffered to do. Reaching a conclusion as to the state of mind of persons is irrelevant.
Do you have a response?
I'll try to rephrase it a little
So
bit.
sustained, allow you to rephrase.
Yeah, did you review any information in the records that you reviewed that there was a confirmed firearm or weapon before Ms. Zwerner was shot? It's a simple question.
Objection, Your Honor. I think it's impermissible as it relates to hearsay. If she's saying, did you review something? Everything that she's reviewed is hearsay. The question is, did she reach her own conclusions?
I'm gonna overrule that. I think you can answer that.
I didn't see anything in my review of the materials that indicated there was confirmation of a firearm.
Okay. And then the next steps that were discussed with you, it says secure students and ensure safety. Do you see that? And that's for the teacher to do, correct? Is that your understanding?
Objection leading.
All right. That's
Who's-
sustained, you rephrase.
In reviewing the next steps, do you see where it says secure students and ensure safety?
Objection leading.
Can you rephrase it in a non-leading manner, please?
In your review, you've reviewed the next steps, correct?
Yes, I have.
And based on your review of the material, did you see in the records where Ms. Werner secured the students that day?
No, there's no evidence of that in the materials that I reviewed.
Okay. Did Ms. Werner give notice to an administrator immediately, Dr. Parker?
Of this level of, these levels of infraction, no.
And Dr. Klinger, we can take that down. Mr. Beniazin showed you a statement by Dr. Parker after the event, correct? Do you recall
Yes,
that?
yes.
That is information that you had reviewed before? Had you reviewed the information before?
It was in the materials that I saw, yes.
And you reviewed it again today with Mr. Beniazin?
Yes.
Does any of that change the opinions that you've already told the jury? You're reviewing again today with Mr. Beniazin, Dr. Parker's statement.
No.
And Mr. Beniazin was able to draw some numbers and circle things with you and then go through information in the records that you've reviewed in the deposition testimony.
Yes.
Did any of the discussion about the numbers and what numbers you would circle change your opinions?
You mean in terms of doing that exercise with
Yes.
him? No.
And Mr. Beniozen asked you about Mr. Rawls' discussion with Dr. Parker about body searching the student.
Yes.
And you had reviewed Mr. Rawls' deposition,
Yes, I have.
and you also reviewed other statements by Mr. Rawls to the school board.
Yes.
Okay. And so going through that material today, did that change any of your opinions in the case?
No.
Dr. Klinger, on cross-examination, Mr. Beniozen asked you whether you recalled specific statements that Amy Kovac made to Dr. Parker before the shooting.
Yes, he did.
And do you recall when Mr. Beniozen asked you, did Ms. Kovac tell Dr. Parker explicitly about a gun and a specific student?
Did he ask me that?
Do you recall when he asked you
Yes, I
that?
do. I'm sorry.
Sitting here, are you able to remember exactly word for word what Amy Kovac reported to Dr. Parker?
No, because it appeared to be, there was the general suggestion, the discussion of a weapon, but even within the materials there is not clarity on that.
When you reviewed the records, did you review body-worn camera video depicting Ms. Kovac's interview with police after the shooting?
Yes, I did.
And would reviewing that video refresh your recollection of what Amy Kovac said to Dr. Parker regarding whether Ms. Kovac thought JT had a gun?
Yes.
Can we show?
We object to the line of questioning, Your Honor.
Yeah,
He opened the door, Your Honor. We can look at the body cam video outside the presence of the jury, but he opened the door.
how did he open the door?
He asked her, yeah, and again, this is crossing over into an argument that Mr. Hogan's already made. I'm happy for him to interject because we're crossing over in two witnesses right now, or I can keep going, whatever the court prefers.
Yeah, I'm going to sustain the objection. She can't refresh a witness's testimony with another witness's testimony. So I'm going to sustain the objection.
Judge, if I could respond briefly to this point, and it may be appropriate to raise these arguments in a sidebar.
No, you can make it after she steps off the stand, but no, I've ruled on that.
Just one moment, Your Honor. No further questions.
All right. Anything?
2 or 3.
Limited to redirect.
Yes, Judge. If we can go to the IP vote, please. You were shown this page, Dr. Klinger, correct?
Correct.
And opposing counsel had highlighted this first part, discipline is the initial responsibility of the teacher, correct?
Correct.
But the sentence goes on to say, thus, in expectations of Tier 1, correct?
Well, I can't see it, but yes, I believe that's what it says. In my version, it's zoomed out. Okay.
It goes
Thank
on-
you.
It specifies Tier 1, correct?
It's a Tier 1 expectation, yes.
In level 2, it talks about referral to administrator, correct?
Correct.
Those are all the questions I have.
All right, thank you. All right, go ahead and step down and stay in the, either in the hallway or the witness room that we had you in for now, and then we'll give you further instructions. All right, thank you.
Your Honor, I understand the court's ruling. I will have an opportunity to place on the record the nature of the
Correct.
objection. Thank you.
All right, so before you call your next witness, do we need to excuse the jury?
so, Your Honor, I think that makes sense.
All right, folks, we're going to have some legal arguments, which I will have to rule on, and then we will proceed with the case.